Hello there, Internet. MegaMogwai here, and I got another MTG video for you guys today. And today we're gonna play with the Burger King himself, as I like to call him. We're gonna play some Esper Kenrith, which is an archetype rather, that is heavily inspired on the deck that Alexander Hayne brought to the Mythic Championship. I'm gonna show you Hayne's deck real quick, because it's right here next to it, and then I'm going to show you my variant of it, and I'm going to explain why I changed the cards that I changed, and I basically rebuilt it from the ground up, with sharing the same concept, because I feel like Alexander's version is better suited for tournament, because there's a big difference between ladder decks and tournament decks. And I think this deck is lacking certain things for ranked play, because there's a whole lot of variety in ranked, even though you may seem like you run into the same decks over and over again. And the reality is, compared to a tournament, you're going to be facing all sorts of different strategies, and that makes things very different when it comes to deck building, right? But the main idea of this archetype, and one of the things that I love about it, is that it's inherently, at its core, it's an Esper control deck, right? As I've stated in the past, ever since the rotation happened and Big Boy Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, was rotated out of Standard, what Esper Control has ultimately been lacking is a late game win condition, a way to finish off games. Teferi was not really the fastest win condition, but it was a good win condition at that. You ran 4 copies of him, and eventually you outvalued your opponent, and that's all you needed to basically win. But without Big Boy Teferi, a lot of these new Esper control decks were relying on the likes of Liliana, Dreadhorde General, and Commander Dreadhorde as their way to win the game, right? And I was never a fan of that, and there's a reason why nobody really, only Alexander really brought Esper Control to the tournament. Is because it's considered to be a solid deck, but tier 2 at best, and has a very difficult time closing out matches, which is actually more important in tournaments than it is in ladder. Because in ladder, if you outvalue your opponent, they can get frustrated and just concede and move on to the next game. But in a tournament, people are not going to be giving up that easily, right? So you have to really work hard for your wins, and without a proper way to seal off the game, you can actually potentially time out, amongst other things, right? So yeah, that's like the biggest issue with it. But Alexander Hayne, Insane Hayne, came up with an awesome win con, and that is combining Bolas Citadel, the legendary artifact, with Kenrith, the Return King. We're used to seeing this guy in Jeskai Fires, which, he makes a lot of sense in that deck, as for the tapping 1 fire mana, which you're not using with Fire's Invention anyways, you can give creatures haste, so it acts like an extra copy of Cavalier of Flames in a pinch. In this deck, his role is quite different, though. The idea is that if you manage to have Bolas Citadel on the board alongside Kenrith, you can use your mana to gain life and, add fuel for, your life, which is your resource, English. That's going to enable you to cast all of the cards from the top of your library. And the deck has a lot of neat ways to move around the top card of your deck in case it's a land, to keep navigating through it, not only through the likes of Teferi's card draw effect or Narset's search effect, but also Thought Erasure's Surveil, amongst other things, and Fabled Passage too. There's a lot of neat tricks to just keep going, and once Bolas Citadel is on the board, we have Oath of Kaya, which is inherently a free play with it. We have Elite Guard Mage, which at its core costs 1 health, and you're getting a 2/3 with flying. That's also drawing you a card, and so it's a really powerful late game that, I was thinking of a variant of Esper Control that would use, for example, Lockmere Serpent as a way to close out matches, but this is on a whole nother level. Like, Kenrith combined with Bolas Citadel is really strong. The fact that we're playing 2 copies of it is no coincidence at all. It actually makes it so that if we do lose one Kenrith, the other one that we eventually play in the match can form like a bit of a loop with the other Kenrith. And what I mean by this is that if our opponent is going to use a Murderous Rider on this Kenrith, we can tap 5 mana and return Kenrith, like the other one, from the graveyard onto the board, before the Murderous Rider resolves. And that way, we can use Kenrith back to back to resurrect the other one and eventually never lose him, right? Given we have the mana to do this. So that gives us quite the efficient inevitability. I have trouble pronouncing that sometimes. And it makes it really powerful. This deck only has one copy of Hero Prison 1, which seems very random, but with this deck, and especially in a tournament environment, you see that just having one plays a lot of mind games with the opponent because they know your deck list and they know Hero Prison 1 can be a thing, but do they keep their, cheap board wipes such as Deafening Clarion versus you just for one Hero Prison 1? I don't think so. So that makes things very awkward, and you really only need one for the late game because you can always resurrect them with Kenrith is the initial idea of this deck. So this is Haynes' version of the Esper control with Kenrith. Why have I changed the deck? Because I think for ranked, there is a heavy amount of aggro decks and a lot of creature-based decks as well. And matchups are pretty diverse, so I noticed a big flaw within this deck, and that took a while. And that was the lack of a proper board wipe. So I rebuilt the deck taking ranked into consideration, and I found this version to be more effective, at least for me. In this case, I am actually running 3 copies of Hero Prison 1. No need for such heavy mind games because my opponents don't know my deck list beforehand, so I think running 3 Hero Prison 1 Game 1 is very efficient as I tend to board out 2 of them for games 2 and 3. We have 1 Drown in the Loch less because even though I think this card is very legit, it's also pretty dead in the early game, and I think the magic number is 2 specifically with this. We're also playing a one-off of Tyrant Scorn. We dropped Narset down from 4 to 3, keeping Teferi at 4 since he is the most important out of these 2 3-mana Planeswalkers. And as you can see here, we have 2 copies of Kaya's Wrath alongside the one-off of Time Wipe. I think this is very important to stay alive. Ever since I added these 2 Kaya's Wrath, my win rate increased dramatically. I was able to overcome a lot of aggro matchups that I was succumbing to prior, and it really did make a difference. And then when it comes to the sideboard, it is quite different. Tide Taker is something that I added to the other deck as well, but I was talking with Hayne in the hotel room in Los Angeles about this deck, and he said that he would want to add Tide Taker because of all the incoming flash decks. We have that alongside 2 Mystical Disputes, and what else did the rest of the sideboard is pretty much the same though as the other deck. So as you guys can see, the deck hasn't changed all that much. It's still the same idea, but I think it is more efficient and fine-tuned for ranked. And what we're gonna do is we are gonna take this bad boy and we're gonna hop onto some games in ranked. I'm gonna put on my headphones so I can actually listen to the music, the sounds, and all that good stuff. Yesterday's video, you guys noticed that, or you should have noticed, that the audio was a little bit too loud, the in-game audio, which is something I never dealt with before, and now, oh my holy mother of lag. Well, we may have to reboot. Okay, I'm gonna mulligan first, but then I'm going to reboot here. Okay, we're gonna keep this hand with 1 Teferi, and no. Can I close this? Okay, well, I mean, I'm gonna go with this for now. But, this is too much. It's too much. I can't, the problem is I can't fucking see the, okay, I'm getting the, administrador de tareas. Alright, I'm gonna be closing this in a bit. I'm gonna bounce the goose. Yeah, he gains another treasure off of it. Another food.
This isn't a fight you can win.
But I think bouncing this is correct because it gives me time. It gives me tempo. Like, not only do I like prevent him from fishing next turn, but I can also use my next Teferi, for example, to bounce a food potentially, and I also prevent the ramp. Like, the most important thing is that I prevent the ramp. That's the key thing. In a matchup like this, which is food, I need to I need to buy time, basically. I'm drawing a few too many lands for my taste. I am going to be dropping another Teferi.
I've got it.
And I will be bouncing a food this time around. Well, first of all, I'm going to play the Temple of Silence because my play will be 3 mana or 2 mana. Even though Drown in the Loch is... This is what I'm talking about with Drown in the Loch. This is why I don't like 3 copies of it, because this card is very, very dead here. That's a lot of lands that I'm navigating towards. Hopefully I stop drawing lands at this point. The question is it worth it for me to drop it? It is. It is. I get rid of 1 food.
I am not going to sit this one out.
And I'm going to bounce 1. Now that he can't activate the Goose to sack it.
Here we go.
That's what I would have liked to see this turn. Like, I would have been very happy to play a Narset instead, right? But unfortunately, we just did not have the option. I wonder if... Okay, he's just using that to search. So he's not ramping this turn. There's the Corvold. Corvold is definitely scary. But Narset will stop it. Like, I have to play Narset this turn. Unfortunately, he's not, like, there's nothing in his graveyard. Which means that I just... Oh, is that a Mayhem Devil? What is that? He paid, oh, because he wants to be able to potentially sack this food and draw off of that, right? Because otherwise, that's no Mayhem, sorry, Mayhem. That's no Murderous Rider. I'm gonna go with Narset.
Let's try this.
Because what Narset will do is she will stop him from drawing cards with
Mind
Corvold.
and body should move in unison, like wind and wave. Put thoughtfulness before action.
This is interesting. If I had played out my lands differently, I would have been able to Thought Erasure this turn. I'm gonna take the Thought Erasure now. He's sacking the food, which means that next turn, even if he picks up a Casualties of War, he won't be able to, yeah, because if he resorts to killing off my Narset here, I will discard his Corvold next turn. It kind of sucks though. I would have liked to be able to, like, I gotta take that into account when I play my lands, definitely. But right now, what we're doing is we're basically buying time. We're buying time until we find until we manage to get our Bolas Citadel. That's our objective here. So, man, I'm just really tired of drawing all these lands. I'm not even gonna lie. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, this is a bit ridiculous. We're flooding like crazy, son. All right, let's get that there. We're gonna go with good old main face Teferi, Thought Erasure. He's gonna create a food token, and yeah, I'm like the ultimate. I'm like the king of England here with all these fucking islands and swamps and plains and all this shit. Like, I think, you know, enough is enough, right? Alright, so now that he's drawn, we go for the Thought Erasure, and the beautiful thing is that once we discard... Well, shit. Look at that. Another land! I would love for him to play the Trail of Crumbs. Yeah, because that way I can counter this. Even though he has double. Alright. Alright, so hopefully I don't draw another, you know, I think we've drawn... because of the oven, I can't really... I need to sack this. Because I need to thin my deck. How many sources of black do I have? I have 3. I have 3 sources of white, and I have 3 sources of blue. So we take the swamp. This is ridiculous. Like, just so you guys understand, like, we're 18 cards in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 18 cards in, and we've drawn like 5 cards, and the rest lands. Like, how crazy is that? I want to bounce something because I need to have a play here. But I can't bounce this. I can't bounce this. I can't bounce any of the creatures, and I can't bounce the food because he has the oven and the geese. So I have to bounce the. I have to bounce the oven. Right? Yeah, I'm just gonna bounce the oven.
No, I am not making this up as I go.
Oh boy. And the Nisa. This guy's playing Nisa. So much for thinning. How many lands do I have left in my deck? I have 26 lands. So 1, 2, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have 11 lands. I have 41 cards.
Behold, nature's true power.
I have 41 cards left in this deck. And 11 are lands. And it don't matter because I'm going to draw another land. Just watch. Just watch. Alright. What it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. Alright, so we got quite the uphill hill to climb here. We know he's playing a Jund food, but he is playing Nisa. So I do want to run in at least a couple of these sparks. Noxious Grasp, of course. Are we dealing with that bug again? We are. Okay. So I also like Oath of Kaya because it does one-shot the Mayhem Devil, which he should 100% be playing. I also like this figure because it kills the birds. Come on, man. I'm going to keep Dovin's Veto. Elite Guard Mages can drop a bit. I'm going to take out 1 Kaya's Wrath as well. It's not as it's a good resource to have, but it's not as imperative to have it. Like, it's more of a late game card, and I think 2 copies of a board wipe is all I need. I like the Thought Erasures. I can take out a couple of Hero Priests in 1. Yeah, that's the general plan. Because I don't really need it here. And, obviously the 2 Sorcerer Spyglass, of course. Normally, in this matchup, I take out the D-Sparks, but he is playing Nisa. I think 1 D-Spark is good, though, because we do have Noxious Grasp. The problem is, if he brings out Nisa and we don't, like... Him having Nisa makes things really awkward, because... Yeah, I need those. I'm going to drop one Drown in the Luck. And, and a Tyrant Scorn. Normally, I would take out D-Spark in this matchup because I only hit Corvold, and like there's a lot of dead targets that just I don't handle. But his deck is quite different. I'm gonna keep this hand. The 1 Hero Priest and 1 that I have, it's in my opening hand, and I have to Fairy to back it up. I will keep that land right there because that enables a turn 3 to Fairy, as the other Temple of Silence does not. And I do want to have a turn 2 this, turn 3 this. And we'll go on from there. Let's see if Hero can do it for us here. As we're on the play. That's really good. Because that means Teferi goes down. And we're able to bounce the food while applying pressure.
If you show remorse, I'll show you. Trust me, I have a plan.
And next turn seems like the right turn to go for the Temple of Silence, as I'll have another 3-mana play. And this is just absolutely beautiful. I could go Narset, but I'm going 100% Oath of Kaya into Temple of Silence. Even though I could have played this first, because it's always better to have information. I'm gonna keep that there.
Don't worry, I got this.
Since I already have the mana, and we can go a long way here. Alright, he doesn't have another Mayhem Devil, because otherwise he would have done that. Okay. I have several options. I could go Kenrith. I could go to Fairy to balance this. Do I go for Tempo? If I go for Tempo, I'm pushing him down to 11. I don't think I need necessarily to go down for Tempo now. What could he do at 5? I think we may just want to go Narset here.
Those who cannot perceive
Because if I get a Thought
keep
Erasure,
an
that's really
open
good.
mind.
Ooh, that's also really good. I'm gonna take the Citadel. I'm not gonna bop this Fabled Passage. This Core Vault is actually, you know, completely shut down here. Because Narset just prevents him from drawing. And I'd love to pick up a land, which means I should not... yeah, we just jump block this. Like I said, I would love to pick up a land because... just realized maybe I should have like completely blocked into that Brontodon.
Hone your prowess.
But I can just bounce this and proceed to main phase. Yeah, and have Dovin's Veto, aka Danny DeVito, in the back. Yeah, let's do that. Let's bounce you.
I've got time.
I don't need to play Teferi just to do that though. I can Thought Erasure him now and then keep Dovin's Veto in the back. I have enough Oaths of Kaya. And I could definitely Dovin's Veto that oven. Okay. If we were to attack there, I would have taken that. I think Elite Guard Mage here makes the most sense. Now I can't get my 6th land. You know, I love Magic, but sometimes like the disparity with lands is just you know, when you receive it on the extreme ends. Oh, all right, that's a bit annoying. But I guess, you know, it's too much. I mean, it's not like we were in complete control there, right? But it's still a little bit annoying. Alright, so I didn't take into account the fact that Tyrant Scorn can be really strong against the... It's a good way to remove... Like, what am I hitting with Devout Decree? The cat? Like, I think... There's few scenarios in which I'm going to be able to exile the cat. Like, I think Tyrant Scorn is just better because it kills the Thrashing Brontodon. I think for the remainder of it, we'll just keep it like this. I mean, that game went pretty fluid. I wasn't able to showcase, you know, just how nutty Citadel can be. I will keep this. It's a 5-lander, which gives me a little bit of PTSD. You know, like I'm worried about drawing like a bazillion lands again. But turn 2 Thought Erasure into turn 3 to Fairy or Narset is pretty solid. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play this island. That way I can enable potentially the Narset again. I'm gonna go for a Thought Erasure here. And I mean, if he plays a Brontodon, I'm gonna take out the Brontodon just because I'm not sure how useful you are right now, Elite Guard Mage. Yeah, like a turn 3 Brontodon on top of this can lead to too much damage. And unfortunately, I'm drawing a few too many.
I can no longer stand by and watch. Here goes nothing.
I'm just playing that 100% to buy time. Yeah, he's thinking.
I'll protect you.
I'm gonna go with a Thought Erasure here. Oh. Bro, you cannot complain. You cannot complain about a little bit of flood because what you're experiencing right now is a tiny little bit of flood. I'm gonna keep that there. I'm gonna deactivate that.
There are so many mysteries. I have just the trick for this.
That Oath of Kaya is a fantastic draw because it enables me to set up the Drown in the lock. Alright, so those ovens being blocked down is great for us. That's good. I'm gonna go ahead and go with this.
My prowess is unmatched by my peers. Meditate and prepare.
Pick up that Teferi. I'm gonna go for this now after I've gone for that. This figure is nice, but it's not really what I need right now. I do have the answer for Gilded Goose, but what I need is like more big boy plays, and I need an answer for that. That's a nice top deck for my opponent.
We are all connected. The land fights for us.
Thankfully, I preserved this Noxious Grasp and didn't waste it on the Goose because I was fearing a crazy top deck like that. And now I can Teferi into Oath of Kaya.
I know my responsibility. That's more like it.
I'm concerned about him top decking something. Like I think I'd rather I think I would rather take the hit. And counter whatever's coming here because I have a feeling he's gonna draw something crazy too. Okay. All right, so this Spyglass is putting in the work. Like I'm sacrificing like 3 damage for security basically. And 3 damage is a big price to play in a deck like mine because health is a very valuable resource for me. How many Teferi is that? That's 2 of them. I value the Thought Erasure. Well. Come on, where's my stuff at? May as well get rid of that. Alright, we flooded so much in game 1 that I don't even know why I say these things. We flooded so much in game 1 that I figured we would catch a bit of a break here. Don't you complain! Don't you dare complain, man! Don't you dare! I had 18 cards and 13 lands the first game. Get out of here. Okay, we're gonna see, because of the way Arena works, we're gonna see, at least I believe it's accurate. We're gonna see what, we already have 3 sources, yeah. Blue is very important. We're gonna have a land. Okay, we're gonna draw a land. Even after shuffling, we draw a land. I'd rather would have had the Scry land. Okay. Okay. And he's fucking complaining. Like, that's what's crazy about it. Like, this guy forgets about game 1. I mean, like I said, statistically speaking, I'm better off doing this. Because I have like one land anyways left, like one simple land. Like, look at all these non-land cards. I was going to draw another land. Fuck my life. Oh, but then I was going to draw these two. Look at all this beautiful stuff. Kenrith. Just give me a Kenrith. Give me a Narset. Give me a Bolas Citadel. Give me something, not a land, please. Por favore. Thank you. Thank you. Arigato gozaimasu. We have an elite guard mage there, right? Okay, that's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Papa Kenrith is inside. Yeah. I do not like. Oh my god, I have no sympathy. I have no sympathy. That was that was the epitome of Magic the Gathering in a way. Yeah, this is the problem with live recordings. I don't really. I can't pick the best quality, right? I guess that series. I guess game 2, you know, the deck went kind of fluid, but you guys can definitely expect me to showcase this deck more tomorrow, because I didn't showcase like the actual power of the deck, which is Kenrith with Bolas Citadel. I did have Kenrith with Elite Guard Mage there. Like I could go for 5, you know, tap 5 mana and resurrect Elite Guard Mage. So from that point onwards, I was gonna, you know, start pulling off quite a bit of value, right? Yeah, my opponent got flooded. I got flooded too, honestly. He had quite the setup, but we were able to, like, Sorcerer's Spyglass was actually MVP that third game, stopping 3 of his ovens. And yeah, like, he did not draw 13 cards out of 18 cards in game 1. So, you know, I think that was, in a way, justice. So I'm pretty happy about that one. But I wish I showcased Bolas Citadel, which is where this deck gets really crazy. But I guess that'll have to be for tomorrow, because I'm recording this quite late, and we're already like 40 minutes into it. So check out the deck, try it out. I really like this archetype. It's very fun to play, and it's very powerful too. It's a very good ladder deck, though it does take quite a bit to get used to. But it's a very, very reliable one at that. I love me some Esper control, especially like this sort of Esper control, you know, with like a cool win condition, because I love the interaction between Kenrith and Citadel. Like, it feels kind of, I know it doesn't make any sense for me to say like lore friendly, but in a way, I don't know, like the king and the Citadel, I don't even know what I'm saying. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, regardless of the mana flood, you know, I mean, that's magic sometimes. Hopefully you found it entertaining nonetheless, and I will see you tomorrow with more.